We're starting another chapter now, and we're going to take a look at units and options in AutoCAD. Your units are a fundamental part of working in your AutoCAD drawings, and we need to make sure that you understand that concept and how those units are displayed in AutoCAD. So we've got a new drawing for you. It's called units and options.dwg, and we'll use that for this particular video. There are a few drawings for this particular chapter, and obviously I'll advise you which drawing you should be using. So we've got units and options.dwg open in AutoCAD, and you should be at the moment in the model tab down here, bottom left. And you can see it's the floor plan that we've used previously with the grids, the dimensions, the desks, the chairs, etc. Now, units, like I said, are really, really important in AutoCAD. Now, there are ways and means that you can look at these units and check the units in your drawings. Now, when we were looking at the status bar, what we did was we set up this decimal setting here, like so. So these are our unit displays, so to speak, and each one of those displays a different type of unit in AutoCAD. But how do we set all of that up? Well, I'm just going to click away from that now in the drawing area, and what I'm going to do, I've got dynamic input on, so I can type now the command that I want AutoCAD to use, and it's the quickest way, I think, personally. You can also get to the units in your settings in your application menu, but you've got to go to the application menu and drill down and find the units command. The quickest way is just simply to type units like that. And that'll come up in the dynamic input. You can see it's at the top there of the suggestion menu. So you can click on units in the suggestion menu or just press enter. That will open up your drawing units dialog box. Now there's a lot of numbers here. Don't panic about them. I'm going to go through each of the settings and just explain how it all works. For ease of use throughout this course, we'll be working in metric millimeters unless specified otherwise. So in this particular case, for length, I would be using decimal. And you can see there's those settings there that I showed you down on the status bar. So we would use the decimal setting. I'll cover the other settings in a minute. And we've got a precision there of 2 decimal places. You can go up to 8 decimal places. It depends on the environment in which you're working. If you're developing precise mechanical parts, you might go to more decimal places. In my case, I'm working in metric millimeters, and my personal preference, I don't know why when you're working in metric millimeters because they are quite small, I set it to 2 decimal places. Now, it's up to you what you do with that. That's my personal preference. And when it comes to angles, I'm going to work in decimal degrees rather than any of the other settings. Again, I'll talk about those in a moment. And we've got a precision there again to 8 decimal places. Now, this little tick box, the clockwise tick box, is really important because by default, AutoCAD works counterclockwise when you're measuring angles. So if you're drawing an arc and you're going through an angle to draw an arc, it'll always be the positive direction counter or anti-clockwise. The insertion scale, that allows you to insert objects into your drawing. So you might bring a new drawing or a new block into this drawing. Obviously, if you're working in metric millimeters, you're going to set that insertion scale to millimeters. You've then got a little bit of sample output. Lighting, you don't need to think about. That's for 3D modeling and visualization and so on. So you can just leave that at a default of international. Now let's jump back up to these types here. So when I come to type here, you'll notice I've got decimal right now. But if I went to, say, engineering, you'll notice I can go into feet and inches. So AutoCAD is now going to work in an imperial environment rather than a metric environment. Set that back to decimal like so. And decimal degrees up here, again, there's a flyout. I can work in degrees, minutes and seconds, gradients or radians or surveyor's units. Surveyor's units, you can see I'm using north and east. Let's set that back to decimal degrees like so. And then just click on direction at the bottom here. And that's where we talk about the direction of the angle that you might be using. So you'll notice there the default setting is east. So if you imagine north, south, east, west, we're going to the right horizontally. That's our 0 degree line. Now that's very common when you're drafting because obviously all of your text, if you think about it, is horizontal. You want that at 0 degrees just to avoid confusion. And that's the main premise for it. Obviously, you can alter it if you want to, but I can't remember the last time that I actually changed the base angle from east as 0 degrees. Notice you can set other, and you can specify an angle value or pick an angle from the drawing as well. I'm going to set that back to east and click on OK, and I'm going to click on OK here in my drawing units dialog as well. And that's basically how you set your units and how they are displayed in your AutoCAD drawings. Now, if you've inherited a drawing from somebody else, type units and go and check the units that are set so that you know what units are being used in that particular drawing.